Men want more sex in 2026. Then they live like intimacy is an afterthought.
They blame low desire. Nah. They built a life that smothers desire.
So we're not chasing vibes. We're pulling the friction out on purpose.
And it's 3 pillars: attraction, connection, and systems. Miss one, the whole thing collapses.
Attraction is energy and steadiness. Connection is safety, not pressure. Systems make it easy to say yes. Stop gambling on mood. Start leading the setup.
Did we actually use friction in that opening comment there, Neiman, when we're introducing our segment here on how to have more sex with friction in the opener? Awesome.
I want to know why they were like speaking to each other about all these problems, because that doesn't prove that they're gay. I don't know what does. I mean, it's like, I can't remember having a brain fart of the name. He looks down and goes, "This is the problem." Like, Jesus Christ. If they've been, their cover is totally blown now. No matter what, I don't have to try to prove it anymore. Shit.
Brianna, what's shaking, kid?
Was the Chihuahua intentional?
Yeah, that was the first giveaway, Brianna. They're like, we want a puppy. What two males that are not gay want to get a puppy together? I was like, okay, we got some suspect shit going on here. But now that they're talking relationship about needing better sex and stuff to each other, there's just no other way to look at it.
Brianna, how are you this morning? Welcome back to our second episode of No Safe Words with Briana Bass, our sex and relationship segment with Keith and John. How are you this morning, kid? How are you today? Did you get up earlier today?
I did. I got up early. I've been up at least an hour.
Johnny, after the last show, me and Brian talked. She goes, "I gotta get up earlier." I'm like, "Yes, get your ass up earlier." So I sent her a text. I said, "Gotta get up earlier for the show today for Keith." And Johnny's half asleep today, so your energy is good, Brianna. You're good. You're good.
I did not get much sleep last night.
Let's get into the big conversation. I did some research on this one, and this one is actually trending. Let's be honest, Brianna. A lot of men say they want more sex in 2026, but they keep doing the same things that make it harder, not easier. Why do guys blame desire when the real problem is friction in their marriage or in the relationship? And that is the problem to get into having the more sex. Where do you want to start this one, Brianna?
Oh, there's a lot to say here. Well, for the point you said, right? Men blame desire because that's putting it on the partner, probably. That's putting it on the female.
It's easy, right? Pointing a finger,
easy.
right?
Very easy to point the finger, point the blame. Also, it makes it maybe not about them, right? It sounds like it's biological. If we think about libido, right? It sounds like some automatic process, some automatic system that we're having versus the truth, right? What we're talking about with the pillars and sort of this foundation and all the other stuff. That's complicated. That's complex. We don't know what to do with it. So I'd blame desire too.
Interesting. Johnny, what's your thought on this?
Well, you see, I've seen this a bunch of times where you see like the man will, she just doesn't turn me on anymore. No, your freaking boner doesn't get up anymore. That's the problem. You're just embarrassed that you can't get a good piece of wood. So you want to blame the fact that your partner's put on a few pounds. Take your shirt off and look in the mirror yourself, Lord.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, mental blame, to your point, right? Attraction fades. She's no longer attracted to me. Also, life is busy. We're busy. We're exhausted. That's a big one, right? So, yeah, not really the case. The lack of sex is a symptom.
Is attraction something that we are born with, or is it something that we build over time? When I was looking at this and I was putting this conversation together and I threw some questions together, this one struck me. Because I know what I'm attracted to, and I whether I was born with it or whether I was taught about it, but is it something we build, Brianna?
I'd say it's something we build. So there's an initial attraction, right? We have to have that. If you spot her across the bar, if you see her profile, and it like really gets you going. So we have that initial piece. That's more of a born with. We sort of have our type. We sort of have our preferences.
Yes.
elaborated on where some of that can originate, like mom and
Yes. Yeah.
conversation for another day. But
Yes.
nonetheless, then we have the building part, right? Which is where this person has unzipped, let me in over time, and I have thought, wow, the world is incredible. When I'm with them, I feel alive. I feel intoxicated. I feel like I'm experiencing life again. You
Yes.
see their mind, you see their soul, you see their nuance, you see perhaps their struggle. Within all of that is the building of attraction, and it can literally increase your physical. If we measured you, how hot
Yeah.
you found this person, and then how hot you found them afterwards, even though nothing changed physically, I guarantee you'd score, off the chart based on learning them more. So that's one thing to note, right? That physical attraction absolutely is connected. It's all interconnected
Yes.
to all those different nuances. And for women more than men, that is interconnected to emotional safety and things like that.
Yeah, the emotional safety is truly the PowerPoint for a woman, isn't it? And I'm not trying to oversimplify, but that really, this is going to sound really crass, but it was from another sex therapist I had read sometime, but it was basically, I'm going to paraphrase it, Brianna. If you're expecting a woman to spread her legs for you, you need to give her emotional safety. And I know it sounds really crass, but like to open, like for a woman to open herself to you, man, you better make her feel safe. And I know it sounds so crass, but there's truth to that, isn't that, Brianna?
Yeah, there's a ton of truth to that. And I do have some very practical, concrete, tangible things that I will teach men
Yeah.
on how to do that, because I
And
know that it feels abstract.
and
Share
what is
some
it?
of those. I
Yeah,
think that would be
yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, sure. So if there's one thing I could recommend to start doing now, I never hear this being talked about. Disagree with me. Tell me if you guys are familiar with this one. But
Yeah.
okay, there's a difference between being horny and women read this
Yes.
versus being obsessed. When you're with a woman, when you're in the bedroom with a woman, when you're having sex with her, even just making out with her, right? You want to give the impression, I'm not telling you to fake it necessarily, but you want to give the impression of being absolutely, completely, and totally obsessed, right?
Yes.
Often men will express desire as initiation, right? I'm coming on to you. I'm initiating things with you. This is my signal. This is me showing you that I'm obsessed. I want you to do it instead in front of her. So not as initiation only, but completely and totally in front of her. So for example, I'm talking the sex, the getting off, the orgasm isn't the goal. It's literally her. She is the prize. It's a privilege to spend time with her. You're going to get there anyways if you follow this model. So might as well make you both win, right? So practical examples to behave as though she is intoxicating, even though in the moment you already have her. You're going to kiss her slowly. You're going to make comments like, I could do this all day. You smell, God, you smell good. Or just simply even imagine you're laying on top of her, it's quiet, and you just simply say, my God. It's a worship. Women will feel so much safer when they feel like you're not just trying to, because in the movies, right? That's not as sexy. In the movies, it's hot and it's heavy. And we want to go hard and we want to get to that end goal. We want to get to that finish line as soon as possible, get her there and you there and all the things. I'm telling you, actually, in the real world, and if you want to talk about having more sex, slow your sex down, act like you are completely intoxicated, obsessed. She is the reason you're there, not the finish line. The finish line will come anyways. And she might be a little bit confused, right? So don't be surprised if you're shaking this up and this isn't your usual MO. She might be a little confused on why you're not rushing things or fixating on the outcome like you usually do, right?
Yes.
But just breathe her in. I want you to communicate. I'm not using you to get somewhere. I'm here because you are the point. And that's safety in the bedroom for women.
That's awesome, Brianna. That's nuggets. Johnny?
Well, yeah, it's just kind of, when you talk about focusing on the finish line, I mean, that's something that I mean, I don't know, I guess I'll just say I'm blessed. I mean, I had enough conversations with, older brothers and, male role models to help me understand that it wasn't about me. It was about her getting to the finish line, because I could get there real easy, but she was going to have a hell of a time. And so you're speaking of, as a man, just thinking about getting to his finish line, or the finish line as a whole?
Finish line as a whole. So also hers. So just the finish line as a whole, because again, with this model, you will get there anyways. If anything, it'll be stronger and better, more connected. And then again, you'll get to have more of it, probably.
Yeah.
So, right. So women don't get turned on by men wanting sex. They get turned on by men wanting them.
Well,
So
you know,
when we're,
I gotta
yeah,
jump in here, Brianna, because you know, and I'll, this is what we do, John. We share. You know, there's times where my wife will say to me, "I can feel you are so into me right now," and that's exactly what you are saying, isn't it? Which is and it's
yeah,
either during or after, which is those comments, which is I can feel that you are very into me right now, and that makes me feel so good because it means that I guess I'm obsessing over Brianna, right? Like, and for her to give me that feedback, that's kind of what I guess I'm looking for, because that means that I'm making her feel safe.
yep, that's exactly right. And I wonder, you know, I don't know if you know, Keith, like what are some go-to kind of lines? I don't know if she listens to the show.
Yes, yeah.
That okay, that you would say to her, right? And I'm sure they're incredibly authentic, but right, the whole you smell incredible, the like I could breathe you in, the my
Well,
God.
it's the presence, actually, Brianna. As I reflect,
Okay, what does
on
that
it,
look like?
it's just being present, extremely present, right? And emotionally connected with my touch, with my presence. Like I think to me, Brianna, it's presence, right? I know that when I'm obsessing over her, she feels my presence with her, and that to me is what is magical, if that makes sense. It's the
And
presence.
Keith, I'm sorry, I have to take this
Yeah.
opportunity. Presence, I teach this all the time. Presence is different than performance. We
Yes.
watch porn, we watch the movies, right? It's like, let me like jackhammer this, let me whatever, flip her around, do the things. And that's if it's sexy and it has its place too. I'm not putting that down, but presence is the opposite of performing
Yes.
performance sex, right? So when you're with your wife, that's what you're describing, that presence, that drinking her in, that literally, even though she's laying in front of you, you're still craving her. You're longing for her as she's here. That's a feeling that women are so sensory. We're so intuitive. You know, that's our thing, right? So whether we even knew we were reading it or not, we are. And if you want to get her to the finish line,
Yeah.
that's the very first step. Talk about safety, feeling permission, feeling like this person wants me and they're not fixated right on the finish line.
Yes.
That's what it is. That's what it is. So that's what you're describing.
Well, to
And
me,
it
it
just
feels like love. So I describe it to Lauren as love. Like it's like this mad love. Like I'm so in love with you that it's like. And AJ said to Johnny on the show one day with us, it's like that's the best way for me to show it to you, is for me to be obsessed right now in the moment, to give you my presence. And for me, that's how I show it. I'll describe it as LOVE, love. If that makes any sense. Yeah.
Yep. And I do want to be clear, even if someone's having more of a transactional sex, right? We're hooking up with an online date or whatever, or we don't love that person yet. We're not in love with them yet. This all still applies. You can still be in the presence of a woman and be treating her as if you're worshiping, right, at her altar, while still feeling completely and totally devoted to your masculinity and still in maybe even a domineering type of state. So I really want guys to think about how incredibly not black and white this is. All of that can exist at once. But even in a one night stand, you can consume her and show up in a way that makes this woman go, wow, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Well, that would be, I mean, in a one night stand, that would give you a hell of a lot better shot to even get it if you were showing that in the beginning. If you were just, pull your pants down, just get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. She'll call you back. One will turn into 2 or 3 or whatever.
We got a question from the community here. We got Petro joining up here. John Petrocelli, Brianna. Some people say, show me a drop dead gorgeous woman and I'll show you a man who's tired of fucking her. How much validity, my word, Petro, how much validity is there in this view? And I think we've heard it all. Listen, we've seen it all, right? A drop dead gorgeous woman, attractive man. And you're like, why is that guy cheating on her? Why is that guy fucking around on her? Yet it seems like it happens so often. Why is that, Brianna?
Yeah, a few different things, right? I mean, behind their curtain, what's happening behind their curtain? There's resentment, I'm going to assume, that's present. Exhaustion is probably chronic, things like that, right? So there's something going on with their relationship in which sex is, and the lack of, is the signal or the representation of that underlying issue, no doubt. No one's a unicorn. This stuff applies universally. The only couple of exceptions I would state, right? If you've got a man, which still sort of applies to what I just said, who needs validation. So it's something I commonly see, right? Men need validation and it needs to come in the way of sex. So someone will be quite, quote, happy or love, or their partner will be beautiful, and they will still be going out and seeking that approval because that's how they come off going, okay, I'm still wanted. I'm still good enough. yeah, so that's sort of a little bit of a difference, but
Johnny?
Yeah, this is all really good shit. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that men need to hear because obviously, especially coming from a female and someone who's educated and trained in this whole field, I think this is stuff that a lot of men have probably never heard before.
Yeah. Well, and Johnny, my next couple of questions throwing at Brianna really kind of link to your lifestyle as I've gotten to know you. So Brianna, you know, as you get to know John, John's a systems man. He's very much a system for everything. John's success in life has been about systems. And you know, the question I have for you is, what systems do men actually have that could make intimacy easier for their relationship? And then maybe the second part to that, again, you know, Keith and John talk about all the time, life expectancy work. We love our wives. We love showing our wives it. But why do disciplined men usually have better relationships? How do they connect the two? Is it because, again, looking at John, Brianna, is it because John's so diligent with his systems that he knows that part of his system is loving his wife, and that discipline keeps him committed? Is it as simple as that, Brianna?
I would guess this is an off the cuff for me. So I would guess that disciplined men are less likely to assume that sex should function independently of the relationship. What I mean by that is, if I'm a disciplined man, I'm going to assume, and I look at things as systems, I'm going to assume that a man like that sees that interconnectedness and sort of the machine, the engine running, right? And gas goes here and these things sort of happen. I don't know that language, but when they understand that sex does not operate independently of all of the other system, that's what's allowing them to have incredible sex and their partner to be completely intoxicated by them. So when I understand that there's 8 forms of intimacy and I have to show up in all these different ways to uphold that 8th, which is sex, that's a system. That's a system. So upholding that means, okay, my system is running, my gas is pure, my everything's firing correctly here. Undisciplined people, they aren't dedicated to those 8 forms of intimacy. So they're all just constantly pulling and pushing from each other, and we're taking a hit, and sex is usually the very first one to fall.
Yeah. No safe words. Briana Bass, Keith Billis, John Anderson having a great chat right now. Man, you're dropping nuggets here. It's funny, John.
This is good.
This is good stuff. Brianna, she's like, Keith, this is like 800 shows worth of topics. I'm like, I'm saying to myself, I just wanted to be prepared, Brianna. So that's why. So I got a text from our hotline yesterday over the weekend, and Brianna, I know I shared it with you because I wanted to be prepared for it. But Johnny, the text goes like this, and I think this is relatable to a lot of folks that have been married or in a relationship in a long time, which is, we've been together a long time. Sex is fine, but predictable. What's one way to shake things up in our relationship?
Okay, I know this is not sexy, guys, but they did a ton of studies. I think I've talked about this before. They did a huge, massive study, and they did a bunch. And the number one predictor of a killer sex life was the ability to talk about sex. It wasn't dildos. It wasn't butt stuff. It wasn't novelty. It wasn't adding a third person in the bedroom or whips and chains. It wasn't how long the couple had been together or any of those things, even the frequency in which they were doing it. It was, can they talk about sex outside of the bedroom? So I'm not talking about while doing it, right? Men do not get into solution or problem solving mode in the bedroom, right? So outside of the bedroom, can we talk about it in a way that is fruitful, productive, safe? And that is the number one, based on so many studies, contributor, predictor of long-term sustainable sex that feels alive. And it's through those conversations that this individual would get the data that they need to mine to know what to change, right? She'd be able to speak up about, well, when you do this particular thing with your hand, when you hook it like this, I actually had a fantasy about this once, right? You might have to get there and sort of escalate over time, but they got to start talking. I guarantee you this person is not talking outside of the bedroom.
No, that's so true. I mean, when I get to hear from Terry what she liked and what really kind of what pushed her button, to me that's just like, holy shit, this is like gold.
Yes.
I know exactly, I know that it's just a roadmap, I mean, it's like there's like it takes the blindfold off, and I remember before the first time Terry and I were hanging out, we actually had a conversation about sex and what she liked, what she did. And of course, she was asking me questions too. But I mean, getting that idea of which direction to go right out of the gate is massive.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I know Brianna I had another one to throw on the table, but I'm not going to today. I'm going to save it for our next one. So I want to keep us here because something you said and Johnny said, because it seems so obvious, Brianna, that clear communication with a lover or a partner should seem so obvious in the bedroom, yet you have a job because it's not so obvious. Why is communication with our partners so difficult when it comes to having sex? Seriously.
Yeah, it is
It's
difficult.
ridiculous, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
isn't it?
I have such empathy for this. I have such not only that, let me normalize for everybody that
Yeah.
that it is difficult. So I'm going and telling you to start talking about it. You're going to feel weird doing that.
Yeah.
And then two, let me also normalize that it can get worse before it gets better because talking about it creates this elephant. There was already an elephant in the room.
Oh,
Now
yes.
we're coloring it
Yes.
in, making it neon, making it bright purple.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
shit. And then you get in bed and you're like, well, this is what we talked about. And your head's, loud
Yes.
and racing. I know it's not missed on me. So this isn't as easy as it sounds. And if you've been in a funk or in a way for years, potentially in a relationship, it's going to feel really unnatural and really uncomfortable. So, right, you would work with someone like me or
Yeah.
just through watching things like this show
Yeah.
and start to act in spite of, just like a gym or going and doing something where you're going like, hey, this isn't really my wheelhouse. This isn't my space. I'm going to go towards the noise. I'm going to go through it. Same thing. You do it anyways. You lead. If you want to be a leader, you're going to have to do some uncomfortable stuff. If you want
Yeah.
the sex life to change, you're going to have to do it. But yeah, it's clunky to talk about. It's this thing that men see as tied into their personal worth, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how media portrays it, right? They see poor sex as a personal rejection. I am not good enough. And they see it as a hit to their market values. There's a lot of stuff going on up
That
here. If
that
that's
would
the
be wouldn't
case,
that
I
be
wouldn't
the
want to talk
reason
about
to
it
have the
either.
conversation though, Brianna? Wouldn't that be the reason to have it? I mean, when
You think
put
so?
sex putting sex aside, in any task that I'm trying to, perform and do well, when I actually understand what it takes to do it well, oh shit, that's more than half the battle. The execution is
Yeah.
the easy part. It's like, okay, here we are. You said you like this. I surely am not going to fucking feel weird about doing it. I mean, maybe if I didn't know, that would be the weirdness,
John, Brianna, maybe, and Melissa put it up here. And she raises a good point. And John, you and I talk about it all the time. I joke with you. Piper spends more time learning how to color a fucking map instead of talk about how to pick partners. Is it maybe this, Brianna and John, that our parents or us don't normalize these conversations? So I wasn't raised in a house where it was normalized. And I don't know, John, if you were, but Brianna, I don't know if you were, but I wasn't. I talk about this with my kids. I normalize this because this is normal. So I got no problem talking to my kids like I'm talking to you guys. Brianna, John, is this part of the big problem? Is that there's a generation of folks like us and Johnny and Keith and Petro and maybe you, Brianna, a little bit younger, where our parents didn't normalize it for us.
I mean, I told my kids, I said, look, and they're girls, keep in mind, not
Yes.
boys.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, listen, there's a lot of rough shit out there. Stay away from the booze, stay away from the drugs. You've got a boyfriend, just be careful and go entertain yourself with having sex. There's no problem with that. You start entertaining yourself with these drugs rolling around out there, we got a big problem on our hands. And if you need some help with, like, of course, birth control,
Yeah.
this is all open. It had to be because the parent has to open the topic. The kid's not going to come and fuck.
100%.
The kid may, but the parent has to lead.
Yeah. Brianna?
Yeah, I got to say, just to poke a little bit of a hole, I think the difference between going, okay, I'm performing not great at this thing, so I treat it like a business and I go attack it. I want to get as much feedback as possible. What can I do better? How can I improve? This is a little bit different because I think when the subject of sex in a relationship, especially if it started strong,
Yes.
the impression is that it should be a layup. This should be happening naturally. This isn't something that I should have to build to. Like at work, if I got hired in a new role, I'm going to have this curve, this learning curve. This shouldn't be that. This should be the easy button, right? So when it starts to get clunky and awkward and less frequent, and it's down to once a month instead of once a week or 3 times a week, right? We are feeling incredibly insecure about that because the assumption a lot of men feel is that this should be something that is natural for me and I should already know how to do all of this. We shouldn't even be in a position where I have to performance review this. The fact that I have to begin with is a fucking problem. I've
where
already
I have
failed.
to performance review this. I haven't heard it that way, but isn't that because that's a shot to a man's ego, isn't it, Brianna? At the end of the day.
Absolutely. And what are you going to hear? Right. You might have a little bit of avoidance there, right? What are you going to hear? That conversation might not even yield anything, right? She's going, no, it's great. It's great. Everything's good. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Is
That's
everything okay?
possible.
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Basically saying, fuck you. You know, no, it's not.
No safe words with Briana Bass, Keith Billis, and John Anderson every second Tuesday here live on Mornings and Live with Keith, John, and friends. I just got to say this, Brianna. This is our second segment doing this, and this is awesome, man. You are dropping nuggets today, Johnny. I hope I'm thinking you're enjoying this as much as I am.
Yeah,
this is really good, Brianna. This is gold.
I wish I had a little more energy to bring to the table because this is a really good conversation. I'm just whooped. Forgive me.
This is gold.